was maybe 20. I was working with a friend on my Volkswagen bus to put the engine back in. The bus was parked with the front out and the back into the garage. Just as we slipped the engine on the transaxle, we both got blown back as lightning struck outside. I ended up on my back, and my limbs were locked in the position they were in for a second or so. It was like my whole muscle system was short-circuited for a moment. It was pretty scary. We both thought we saw an offshoot of the bolt hit the top of the Volkswagen bus. Afterwards, we found a small, circular, black burnish-looking spot on the top of the bus. We both felt that we were very lucky it wasn't more direct. The only thing that really bothered me was the fact that my friend said he had been struck indirectly by lightning before. I was struck by lightning while climbing some 14,000-foot mountains by myself outside of Breckenridge, Colorado. This was about 10 years ago. I got a late start hiking that day, and an afternoon storm rolled in, as they pretty regularly do in the Colorado mountains in the summer. I thought I was keeping a close enough eye on the weather so I could bail if needed, but apparently not. As I learned later, when I saw a picture I took right before it happened, it looked like I was in a cloud. I was walking on a broad summit, and the next thing I knew, I woke up lying on rocks. I was very confused as to why I was lying on rocks and had no idea why I was in the mountains. I sat up, and my clothes were thrashed. My two shirts, the base and the outer layers, had a large tear down the front. My pants were shredded, and I had about a fist-sized hole in the side of one of my boots. I thought I had fallen off or something, but there was nothing for me to have fallen off of nearby. I thought maybe I had been mauled by an animal, but I wasn't bleeding, and it didn't make any sense that a bear or mountain lion would be at that elevation. And then I thought, oh, lightning. I didn't know this at the time, but the lightning apparently came down the side of my face and struck a combination off the zipper on my shirt and a necklace I had made out of titanium plate that had held my ankle together for a year and a half after an ice climbing accident. The lightning went down my shirts, which were made of moisture-wicking material. They were melted together around the large tear. It was split in two at my waist. It melted the elastic band off my underwear to my stomach, and it wrapped around my legs before blowing out of the sides of my boots. I had second-degree burns on my chest, abdomen, and legs, and deep second-degree burns on my ankles and feet. I also had a burn on my cornea, 2 ruptured eardrums, and a slight concussion from hitting my head on the rocks. I got up, pulled my jacket out of my pack and put it on, collected the pieces of my shattered sunglasses off the rocks, and started hiking out. My lower back was really sore, and I was very tired. I sat down to rest a number of times and wanted to take a nap, but I knew that would be really bad, so I kept moving. About half a mile, I came upon a group of people and told them I'd been struck by lightning and needed to go to the hospital. They helped me get down the rest of the way and drove me down the road to the hamlet of Alma. That's where they called an ambulance that took me to a hospital in Denver. I was quite the star at the hospital. Even a Boy Scout troop that happened to be touring the ER came by to have a look. I was on morphine and warned them the dangers of lightning and hiking alone in the mountains. I probably made quite an impression. I stayed in the hospital for a few days, and it was mostly so they could monitor my heart and so my burns can heal a bit. I had to take good care of my burns for a few weeks, and I really had low energy. One of my eardrums healed itself, but the other required surgery to patch it. Recovering from that surgery was actually the most painful part of the whole ordeal. The burns were uncomfortable, but I was really careful with them, and they healed up nicely. All things considered, it really wasn't as terrible as you might think. I have no memory of the actual strike, so I didn't really experience any sensation of the lightning. I certainly wouldn't want to go through it again, but it could have been so much worse. I think I was unconscious from somewhere between 10 and 30 minutes, and I just happened to wake up on my own. One doctor said there's a good chance my heart stopped for a moment. I still wonder why I woke up, and that kind of messed with me for just a while. But given how it all could have gone, and often does, it all worked out. I was cycling home from work a couple of years ago, talking to a friend on the phone. It was raining pretty hard, and I'd seen flashes of lightning throughout the afternoon. The last thing I said to the people I worked with was, "Wouldn't it be funny if I got hit by a bolt of lightning on the way home?" We'd all laugh about it and agreed that it was pretty unlikely. I was cycling next to a big row of houses when the call connection started to go really weird. Not a kind of breaking up, more of like an electrical robot voice. A few seconds later, there was a massive flash and my vision went completely white. And at the same time, it felt like someone was shaking me hard, and I could taste this weird metallic sensation in my mouth. It felt like one of those joke electric shock pins just over my entire body and much bigger. My vision returned, and after a few seconds, I'd fallen off my bike. I picked myself up and checked that my bike and phone were okay. They were, but my phone battery bricked a few days later. Surprisingly, the call to my friend was still connected. So I explained what happened. I walked for about 100 meters and then got back on my bike and cycled home, still on the phone with my friend. The next day, I had a pretty awful headache. I phoned into work, and my job gave me the rest of the week off. Further inspection of my bike revealed a massive burn mark on the gears. I guess I was rather lucky.